2, 3.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops.
Yes, so many cops are on the tick. What do you expect when they use tear gas and tanks? Whether in a car or on a horse, cops don't mind using excessive force.
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
This is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
So this is Bad Cops Traffic Enforcement Edition, which is kind of boring, but in some ways, it's actually what most people have to deal with. You don't have hopefully you don't have to deal with the most extreme police brutality or anything like that, but most people have to deal with traffic enforcement, with speeding cameras and, pulling you over because your headlights are off or whatever bullshit excuse you use to pull you over. But I lived in Virginia for a few months, and DC has a lot of speeding cameras. DC has so many speeding cameras that they have multiple class action lawsuits against DC because it just seems to be a big scam. And the reason why I'm talking about speed cameras is because New York City all of a sudden is deciding to install a whole bunch of speed cameras and lowering the price for a whole bunch of avenues, like North can do it, South can do it. All these different avenues are kind of known for people to drive crazy on. So now they're going to put a whole bunch of speed cameras there.
Yep.
So that means that non-crazy people are going to get the most tickets. So that's what usually happens. So they never catch the crazy people. And this is an example of that. This story right here is crazy because like the guy who's a Vietnam veteran who works for the post office, it's like a double down American black guy. He gets his car stolen in the worst possible time ever, like a double whammy coming home from work. Imagine not only getting your car stolen, but you get it stolen coming home from work. That's like this awful. So on top of that, you think like people will have sympathy for this,
But we're not going to blame Grand Theft Auto for that, right?
I think I am blaming Grand Theft Auto. I think these kids need to stop playing Grand Theft Auto,
And that's going to stop the carjackings?
Yeah, and cut minimum wage too. Cut unemployment down too. That should help it. That would definitely help carjackings.
Yeah, I think you can lower the carjackings if you get rid of every violent video game and you don't pay workers. Because if you make the economic conditions as difficult as you possibly can, then crime is going to come down tremendously.
Yeah, I think that's
definitely
you gotta
elect me to be your next mayor.
You gotta hire more cops.
Definitely elect me to be your next mayor.
Yeah, Dr. Virginius, and he proves this message. So I'm gonna play this.
Don't pay the cops either.
Yeah.
Pay the cops to protect victims and punish criminals.
That just sounds like
it turns that
in the
theory
world right
on
there.
its head.
No question. All new at 6 o'clock. You're about to meet a couple who was carjacked at gunpoint. Now, that's bad enough, but they ultimately got their car back, but then they couldn't drive it unless they paid thousands of dollars in tickets that were racked up, not by them, but by the crooks. Tonight, 7 News senior investigative reporter Lisa Fletcher is unwinding all this red tape.
And the guy comes up on
this is why we need more police.
Being held at gunpoint as he parked his car was just the beginning of Doug Nelson's troubles.
He tells me, give me the car, give me the car. You know what's going on.
It would be days before police recovered the Nelsons' carjacked vehicle, and when they got it, it would
A Chrysler
be with
200?
something extra.
Fucking losers. Leave this man alone.
Yes.
They look like they're on a fixed income too.
Yeah.
The
Assholes.
criminals went on a dangerous joyride, often exceeding 70 miles an hour in 30-mile-an-hour zones, triggering speed cameras half a dozen times. The Nelsons had no idea until they started receiving tickets.
It was a notice of infraction. And I looked at it and I said, oh, this is the time when they stole the car.
It all seemed simple enough. Notify the District of Columbia that these tickets happened while the carjackers were at the wheel. The district's response?
But it came back saying, you owe.
So, Nancy sent the police report, proving the crime happened more than an hour before the speed cameras snapped the first ticket.
I sent it back and it got rejected again.
Surely a face-to-face meeting with the
They're
hearings officer
intentionally
would clear things
evil.
up.
Only for the guy
That's it.
to not even.
And you have to
look at
blow
the
up their spot like
information
this. We have to be on the
and say,
news,
Your tag.
And I doubt
number's
these
not
people
on
want to
the
be in the
report.
news.
Right.
So, Nancy went back to the police station.
But what choice do they have?
I can't put the tag number on your report, but it's in the system. I'm in tears about all of this stuff because it's $2,000 worth of tickets. That's not even our fault.
And with outstanding tickets, the Nelsons can't get tags, which means they haven't been able to drive their car for 6 months, complicating everything for these two frontline workers, from getting to work, to the grocery store, and to their grandkids.
You expect to be victimized by a criminal.
It's 7 o'clock
Did
yet,
you
and we start
expect
clapping.
to be
It's almost like
by DC
the
government?
crooks and the cops
No.
colluded.
I've been a council member.
They're like, yo, go hijack these people because we
And they
need more
told me,
ticket
Hold on.
revenue.
I never heard back from them either.
We respect the rules, we respect the process, but can somebody that's a human being just look at this and find a way to fix it, because it shouldn't have to be.
Wow, they had to
Richard
get the
Bennett is
white
Doug
man in their
Nance's son-in-law.
family to get something done.
Activate the white man.
Making a case for common
White
sense.
man, activate.
But after all of this, the city closed the case.
Yo,
because
so
the
they had to
Nelsons
Karen it,
didn't
double
know
Karen.
to file a document called reconsideration
That's crazy,
or a
yo.
motion to
I mean,
vacate.
you gotta do what you gotta
Therefore,
do.
He was told the adjudication is closed.
And how's your luck been in finding a human being to look at this?
Not great. It's 6 months in now, and
I'm just staring at how fucking white he is.
These are not folks of extraordinary means, so this puts a lot of pressure on, makes things very difficult for them.
Bennett was told there was one last appeals option, but all fines and penalties, now totaling more than $5,000, would have to be paid first.
For nearly 2 weeks, we tried to get DC.
I mean, you want to talk about ransomware?
In the face of the facts, nobody
This
helped
is a few months
While
before
they
the
wouldn't sit
Canorio
down with us,
pipeline
they
too.
did take action once we started asking questions. This week, after 6 months and up against the deadline of our story, DC dismissed all the tickets and penalties against the Nelsons.
At least
They had to go on the news. They had to bring their white son-in-law in. They had to do all these things, and finally, like, okay, dismiss it. Okay, fine. Okay, this is okay. Why do we have to do all this for you to stop abusing people? It's just like, why can't it be simpler?
It's crazy. We, as soon as, because I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Messiah named our show. Okay. As soon as we named it Black Power Magic Hour, we had people coming in talk about how racist we are, right? And the only thing we're doing is reporting the news.
Yeah.
We're reporting on things that actually happened. That is a matter of public record to show you guys that we are not living in a post-racial society by any means. And we just show this shit over and over and over and over again. I mean, do you guys get the point? Do you guys look at all the things we've reported on things that actually happened? This is not conjecture. This is not fiction. These are not things that we think are happening. These are things that are just being reported on around the country.
Yeah. And in the last story, you literally had the white son-in-law saying, "Hell no, you're not messing with my mama." It's like it's like
he was like, "Yo, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. You ain't fucking with."
Yeah.
You ain't fucking with what I'm trying to get going on over here.
Yeah, you better get those plates back in that car.
You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy.
Right
and the thing is, like, a lot of people will say,
well,
people will say, and I've heard this in the black community, and I've also heard this from people in Middle America, on the Caucasian side. It's like, well, they say, well, black people need to do for their own. But it's like, we don't have any fucking power.
Yeah,
they had to call in the white man, who then called the news, which has more white men, to actually get something done, but on their own power, going through all of the legal channels. They did everything that they were supposed to do, and they looked at the evidence and said, wow, you've got a police report stating that that you were hijacked, you were carjacked.
At gunpoint. Not even like...
You are a victim of a crime that should require restitution to you. And we're going to look at the actual evidence in front of us and say, wow, that kind of looks like a black last name. Rejected.
And it's it's the concept of a carjacking. When you carjacking with a gun, that's armed robbery at that point. I don't think... I guess that's nuances of language, but it's just like that's more of armed robbery than a car.
It is armed robbery. They were robbed for the car.
Yeah, with a gun. Yeah. So
you know, he ran up on two elderly people.
Mm-hmm. So I want to post like what the lady talked about at the end about the fact that after like blowing up their fucking spot, DC finally dismissed it, and I'm gonna share that. And it dismissed it in the rude ass way. It wasn't even a nice dismiss.
They were really counting on that $5,000.
That says they
can't make the city budget without it.
So pretty much what we said and what everyone's saying that, you know, even that's what Nancy said, the black woman says they did not want to be in the news. So
no, say that again.
That says that they don't want to be in the news.
Yeah.
That the fact that as soon as it came out in the news after 6 months, they dismissed the case.
Because the thing is, this is what they expect to happen. These people are black. They can't afford. You know, they're on a fixed budget. They got a fixed income. They're black. They can't afford the lawyers to actually overturn this. So
I know
they're just going to end up paying anyway. We'll take that free $5,000. Thank you very much.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like people don't realize that some people whose lives will fall apart. That's like a less than $2. If they lose $2,000 problem, it's like the end of their.
If they lose $400, it's a fucking problem.
Yeah,
and it's fucked up. It's and the thing is, it's sad that a white man had to activate the white media to do the right thing for black people. I mean, somebody in the comments, please tell us where we're going wrong here.
That was like a surprise. I like that. I like the narrative of that. I actually like how they edited that because it started off with them and then like, you know, white son-in-law. That's how it got done. It's like, you know, it's like,
yo, how much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet the government looked at him and said, "Nigger lover"?
Hell yeah! I mean, that's why like they're not even responding, even though
they used to get it the worst during the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
The white people that will march with the black people, they used to get it the absolute worst. Yes, white people did march. They put their lives on the line because back then, if you looked like you were sympathetic to the cause, they would hang you too.
Yeah, you were worse. You were seen worse than a black person a lot of times. You were seen.
Yep.
And I want to share this next story about DC because this is like this thing of DC that's making tons of money over speed cameras. So I want to share this other story, which was happening. Guess what? During the middle of the fucking pandemic in July. So this makes the kind of story even more kind of fucked up in a lot of ways. So DC faces lawsuit over notorious 295 speed camera, and I have personally experienced the speed camera. I've gone 41, 42 over the speed limit, and I still get that fucking expensive ass ticket.
Wait, you said 41 or 42 over the speed limit?
Yeah, it's no, like 2 or 3 miles over like 5 miles over the speed limit, you get a fucking ticket.
Oh, you said 40 or 41. I'm like, yo, you should get all the tickets for 41 over.
40 and you're going like 41, 42. You know?
Oh, okay. Or like what Jay-Z said, you were going 40. You were going 55 and a 54.
So it's pretty much a class action lawsuit. It's saying that they exposed one camera raking over $34 million under very questionable circumstances. And this is from last fall. So this camera is notorious for this racking up tickets for people. It's like one of those kind of construction sites. Hopefully this video can show you. It's $200 for going 55 and 52. And I'm telling you, it's bullshit. It's like 55, 52, and the 50, you get $200 ticket. Like, it's not even worth it. It is for them. So hopefully this ad plays. It's playing some weird step app. Oh, I stopped playing it.
Yeah, stop playing that.
A new 7 on your side update now on.
He's taking another brief again. You saw that? He was like,
years, the city has been accused of that generate millions in revenue.
Issues that affect black people.
Last fall, NBC7 senior investigator reportedly Fletcher exposed one camera that's raked in more than $34 million under.
And they got a fancy remote setup.
Well, new for you now at 6 o'clock. That camera is the subject of a class action lawsuit. And if plaintiffs prevail, it could bring relief to thousands
of people, yo.
No city or
more black people. The victimized.
At least not in America.
Happy stance.
Reggie Matthews and his wife Teresa were both ticketed by the same speed camera on the same day, an hour apart. Each fined $200 for going 55 and 52 in a 50-mile-per-hour zone.
Is that worth it?
Or at least it was a 50-mile-per-hour zone until the district lowered the limit to 40.
It didn't tell nobody.
And doubled the fine.
And put the sign behind bushes.
No
Yep.
Only one sign so small it could be obstructed by a passing vehicle.
I'm telling you that. And the thing is, it almost lost its accent sometimes because people stop short when they see it. So sometimes I was driving on it. I remember, yeah.
Enter Gary Mason.
Consumers come to us because it's not fair. We file a lawsuit because it's not lawful. DC is in violation of its own regulations as well as national guidelines.
Those guidelines say there should be multiple signs alerting drivers to a work zone, and when the work is over, signs should come down and regular speed limits resumed.
The work in the construction zone,
Like 10 miles an hour is going to do a difference in a fucking work zone.
and
Man.
our clients were ticketed.
And the work zone is not even there anymore.
We're talking
Yeah.
about late 2019 to late 2019, early 2020. When
That was the work zone to put that fucking sign up. That was the work.
That was hard. That was tough. Hard American. Hard-working American here.
But we discovered
Proud
that
to
low
be an
speed limit and
American
consequent
where
doubling of
DC
fines
scams the
may have been done
citizens.
illegally, according to the district's own laws. According to Title 18, 2200.2, an engineering and traffic investigation must be done before the speed limit is lowered. Through the Freedom of Information Act, we requested a copy of that investigation, and were told by the FOIA administrator that it does not exist.
Are you gonna trust them and investigate themselves? Yeah, that's a good idea.
It didn't take long for Reggie and Teresa to decide to be the anchors for a class action lawsuit against the district.
Once the deputy mayor, in my view, had that god-awful interview.
But how are you going to militarize the police without stealing from the citizens?
Had no compassion for the working folks who out here going to work, taking the kids to school or what have you.
And it's those folks the Matthews say deserve better. They're willing to take the lead and hope others join.
Don't be afraid to stand up for something when you know.
You see that haircut? That's a strong black woman.
Yeah, and they're
Don't
pissed.
fuck with
It's
her.
only $400 worth of tickets, but they're like, yo, I'm leading a class
Yeah.
action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Hell yeah.
We're bringing the whole shit down for $400.
Yep. We'll pay this lawyer $40,000 to not have to pay that $400. Fuck you. Oh, and when we win, you pay the lawyer's fees. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So this was happening. So this is crazy, and this is like a harbinger for things to come.
Yep.
A lot
Or
of
things that are already happening. Fuck
Yeah,
things to
yeah.
come. This shit has been happening.
That, you know,
There was one. I think there was one incident, actually targeting white people because I think it was like Oregon or some shit.
because DC happens to be mad black. That's why, you know. So
Yeah,
black people,
but there was this one thing I think that happened where they put like a red light camera on this one particular thoroughfare.
Yeah.
And what they did was they manipulated the time that it would go from yellow to red.
Wow.
So they cut it down. See, the thing is, people know how long the yellow lights are. So they make that decision based upon what they know about that road. So I think what they did was they decreased the time from yellow to red by 1.5 seconds. And then like started raking in millions of dollars on red light cameras.
I mean, it's such.
And then after they were caught, it gets better. After they were caught, they tried to invoke legal proceedings and sue the guy that caught them out there because he mentioned that he was an engineer, and he wasn't speaking in the capacity of an engineer, and they tried to use some mumbo jumbo to take the spotlight off the fact that they were stealing from their own citizens. And he caught them and did the math using his skills as an engineer. One of the craziest things I've seen. Absolutely nuts.
And like I said, I want to talk about this real quick before we wrap the show up about what's happening in New York while I'm bringing this up. So what's happening in New York, this comment kind of says it a lot. People are getting shot in the streets and you're lowering the speed limits. So, yeah, this is what they do. They do really topical bullshit instead of dealing with real concrete problems. Let's lower the speed limit. Who the fuck was thinking about this? maybe people on bikes, I guess. So pretty much, but these are places where you shouldn't be riding the bike anyway. Like fucking North Conduit from Atlantic Avenue to Shutter Avenue. That is not a place to ride a fucking bike. North Conduit, South Conduit from Shutter Avenue to Sunrise Highway. That's definitely not a place to ride a fucking bike. Woodhaven from Queens Boulevard. There is ghost bikes all over the place. So maybe, yeah. So like a lot of these places are being lowered, but at the same time, you have to realize what's going to happen is it's going to be this black and brown people just getting mad tickets for going over 1 miles an hour, 2 miles an hour.
Well, at least they don't do that here in New York City. I think it starts at 6 miles over. So if the speed limit is 25 and you go through the camera at 29 or 30, they don't ding you. But if it's 31, that's your ass.
So it tells you, so it tells you right here, under the current law passed in 2019, cameras are limited to operate only during the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays. The proposal will make cameras operational 24/7, 7 days a week. And some reason this paragraph is really strange to me. It doesn't really make sense to me. It says analysis of 2020 fatal crashes shows that 36% of all traffic deaths that year were not on highways according with school speed limits, where permanent cameras are located, but happening during hours. When the automated enforcement cameras are not legally allowed to issue summons. But how would a camera stop a fatal car accident?
Well, here's why it doesn't make sense. Number one, we're talking about 2020.
Yeah.
Guess where all the kids were in 2020? They were at home. Right? All of the problems that they had occurred when the cameras were not operational. That means that there were no children in danger, which means that it was just regular people probably crossing against the light, or people doing selfish shit on the road, not actually having to do with speed.
Yeah, and it says over 1,300 speed cameras are active. DOT plans to have 2,000 by the end of 2021. So we're gonna have even more cameras.
Thank you, Department of Transportation. I mean, what we really need are streets that don't have potholes. We need clearly defined lane markings. We need enforcement agents to actually help with the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
But you diverted all of your resources to try to extract more money out of hardworking New Yorkers' pockets.
Yeah.
That's really all you're doing.
So that's Bad Cops Robot Camera Edition. You can follow us on Black Power Magic Hour on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, act.tv. Have 51,000 subscribers. Huh?
They can't give the robot cameras back to Boston Dynamics.
It'd be funny if we could do that too with the robot. Same thing with the robot dog. Give those speed cameras back.